The galaxy's lawless fringe was a place no sane being would willingly go. Deadly radiation storms, black holes, and pirate raiders plagued the region, making it the perfect hiding spot for the galaxy's most dangerous criminals. It was also the place where Captain Andrew Hudson and his crew thrived. Other species avoided these territories, their governments too cautious to send anyone into the chaos. But for humans, chaos was just another day at the office. Andrew Hudson, a veteran bounty hunter with a face that seemed carved from stone, sat at the helm of his ship, the Harbinger. His fingers tapped against the worn leather of his command chair as he scanned the mission briefing projected on the console. The target this time was no small-time crook. Zarek the Unseen, a cunning assassin who had slipped through the fingers of every galactic authority, was their mark. Zarek had killed diplomats, robbed entire star systems, and crippled planetary economies. Every species in the galaxy wanted him dead. Andrew just wanted him captured. Got the coordinates locked. Came the voice of David Kessler, the ship's tech expert, from the back of the cockpit. Kessler, a wiry man with quick hands and a sharper mind, was always 2 steps ahead when it came to breaking through alien security systems. He's holed up on some hellhole planet in the D-Rack Nebula. The place is a death trap. Surprised anyone's even alive down there. Andrew glanced over to Angelo Doherty, the team's tactical muscle, a tall, broad-shouldered man with a scar running down his cheek. Angelo gave a dry chuckle. If he's hiding in a death trap, then we're heading in the right direction. Sitting to the side, Eli Carter, the crew's sharpshooter, inspected his rifle. Eli was a man of few words, but every shot he took spoke volumes. He never missed. His calm, steady demeanor in battle had saved their lives more times than Andrew could count. Zarek smart, Andrew said, addressing the crew. He survived this long by knowing when to run and when to fight. But this time, he's got nowhere left to go. If we're going after him, we'll be stepping into a nest of traps, hostile territory, and probably worse. Sounds like a vacation, Angelo quipped, cracking his knuckles. The rest of the crew smirked, but Andrew remained serious. This isn't just about the bounty, Andrew continued. This guy's taken down entire worlds. If we let him slip through our fingers, he'll disappear again, and when he does, more people die. The gravity of Andrew's words hung in the air. The crew understood what was at stake. Every bounty was dangerous, but Zarek was on another level. He wasn't just a criminal. He was a force of chaos, and it was up to them to bring him in. As the Harbinger rocketed through the stars, the crew prepared for what lay ahead. The ship's hull groaned slightly as they entered the D-Rack Nebula, its swirling gases casting a strange green glow over the cockpit. Kessler monitored the scanners while Angelo and Eli double-checked their gear, loading weapons and preparing for a hostile encounter. Got a lock on his signal, Kessler announced. It's weak, but it's there. He's definitely on that planet. Andrew leaned forward, eyeing the planet that now filled the ship's viewport. It was a desolate, storm-ravaged world, with jagged mountains and rivers of molten lava cutting through its surface. The atmosphere was a maelstrom of lightning and poisonous gas, a place that would kill most species in hours, if not minutes. But not humans. They were stubborn enough to survive where others couldn't. Take us in, Andrew ordered. The ship descended through the thick clouds, buffeted by the storm winds as they neared the planet's surface. It wasn't an elegant landing, but it was enough to get them through the worst of the turbulence. The ground trembled as they touched down, volcanic ash swirling around the ship's landing struts. Andrew stood up, grabbing his helmet and securing it over his head. The crew followed suit, each man preparing for the brutal conditions outside. As the ship's ramp lowered with a hiss, the intense heat and acrid smell of sulfur greeted them. Zarek's close, Andrew said, checking the data on his wrist console. Kessler, keep an eye on our tech. Angelo, watch our flanks. Eli, you're on point. They moved out in formation, navigating the treacherous terrain with practiced ease. Lava bubbled nearby, and lightning forked across the sky, casting jagged shadows over the rocky ground. They were on hostile ground, but Andrew didn't flinch. This was where they thrived, where humanity's refusal to back down set them apart from the rest of the galaxy. As they made their way toward Zarek's last known location, Andrew felt the tension in the air. Zarek wasn't just dangerous. He was a master at evading capture. If they made one mistake, he'd vanish again. But Andrew wasn't about to let that happen. "We'll get him," he muttered under his breath. One way or another, the hunt had begun. The storm intensified as Captain Andrew Hudson and his crew advanced through the hostile terrain. Jagged cliffs loomed overhead, their surfaces slick with molten rock. Thunder rumbled across the sky, and the air was thick with sulfur, making every breath feel like swallowing fire. Yet, the humans pressed on unshaken. This was what they were trained for, pushing through when everything around them screamed to turn back. "Stay sharp," Andrew warned, his voice steady over the comms. "Zarek's probably got traps all over this place." David Kessler paused, adjusting the settings on his wrist console. "I'm picking up faint signals. Could be proximity mines, energy barriers, or worse. This whole area's rigged." Andrew nodded, eyes scanning the desolate landscape. Zarek wasn't just any criminal. He was a tactician. If they didn't proceed carefully, they'd end up dead long before they ever laid eyes on him. Angelo Doherty, keeping watch on their left flank, grunted in response. "Let him throw whatever he's got at us. We'll punch through." His hand rested on his plasma rifle, fingers twitching in anticipation. Angelo thrived in combat. The bigger the challenge, the better. He lived for the fight. As if in response, the ground ahead exploded. Eli Carter, ever the sharp-eyed marksman, dove behind cover, his rifle drawn in a heartbeat. A hail of laser fire rained down on them from the cliffs above. It wasn't random. It was a coordinated ambush. Alien mercenaries, likely hired by Zarek, had been lying in wait. "We're pinned," Eli shouted over the roar of battle, already lining up precise shots. He fired twice, each shot dropping a mercenary from their vantage point above. 6 more up top, maybe more. Andrew moved swiftly, taking cover behind a boulder as laser bolts scorched the air. Kessler jammed their comms. "Angelo, give us some suppressive fire." Kessler's fingers danced across his console, and within seconds, the enemy's communications went dark. Angelo grinned as he unleashed a torrent of plasma fire from his heavy rifle, forcing the mercenaries to scatter. "Go ahead, hide. It won't save you," he bellowed, his voice thick with adrenaline. Andrew peered through his visor, studying the enemy's position. They had the high ground, but they lacked the coordination that only years of training and battle-hardened experience could provide. This was where humans excelled, under pressure, in chaos. Zarek had underestimated their ability to adapt. "We're moving forward," Andrew commanded, his tone calm but firm. "Eli, keep covering our approach. Angelo, stay on their right. Kessler, keep scanning for traps." They advanced, ducking and weaving between the cover of jagged rocks, as Eli picked off more of the mercenaries with cold precision. The enemy fire began to waver, the remaining attackers breaking ranks under the relentless human assault. One by one they fell, and soon the battlefield was silent, save for the rumbling storm overhead. "Not bad," Angelo said, wiping the sweat from his brow. "But if that's all Zarek's got, this'll be over quick." Andrew wasn't convinced. This was just a delay. He's buying time to get deeper into the planet's core. He glanced at Kessler, who was already tracking the next signal. "Another heat signature, about a mile east," Kessler reported. "Looks like Zarek's heading into an old mining complex. The whole place is unstable, lava flows, collapsing tunnels, you name it." "Of course he is," Eli muttered, securing his gear. "He's dragging us into the worst possible environment." Andrew tightened his grip on his rifle. "Then we follow. Zarek thinks he can outlast us, use the terrain to his advantage. But he doesn't know us." They pressed onward, the ground beneath their boots shifting as tremors rattled the planet's surface. The air grew even hotter, the oppressive heat seeping through their armor. Visibility dropped as clouds of ash billowed around them, turning the world into a shadowy hellscape. But none of them hesitated. The entrance to the mining complex loomed ahead, its rusted metal doors hanging ajar. Andrew motioned for his crew to hold position. He could feel it. Zarek was close. Too close for comfort. "This is where things get ugly," Andrew said, his voice low. "Inside, it's going to be tight. Expect ambushes, expect traps. No mistakes." Angelo cracked his knuckles. "Ugly's fine. Let's finish this." They breached the entrance, stepping into the pitch-black tunnel beyond. The stale air was thick with the smell of rust and decay. Kessler hacked into the old systems, activating dim emergency lights that flickered to life, casting eerie shadows across the walls. As they ventured deeper, the tunnel sloped down, the temperature rising with every step. Streams of molten rock glowed beneath cracked metal grates, and the ceiling dripped with condensation from the heat. Each sound echoed ominously in the dark. Suddenly, Kessler stopped in his tracks. "Wait, I'm detecting motion up ahead. Multiple life signs." Andrew's instincts flared. "Zarek's here, and he's got company. We'll be walking straight into his kill zone." Eli steadied his rifle, his voice calm. "Doesn't matter. We're ready." Andrew gave a single nod, eyes set with grim determination. No turning back now. The trap was set, and Zarek was waiting. But so were they. The narrow tunnels of the mining complex twisted deeper into the planet's molten core, each step taking Andrew and his crew closer to Zarek. The air was stifling, thick with the scent of sulfur and metal, and the oppressive heat felt as if the planet itself wanted to swallow them whole. Molten lava pulsed beneath the grated floors, casting a hellish orange glow on the walls. For most species, this would be unbearable, but humans were built for extremes. Andrew could feel the tension among his team. Zarek was close. Too close. "We've got movement," Kessler whispered, his eyes glued to the scanner. "Multiple life signs, just beyond the next corridor." Andrew held up a fist, signaling the team to stop. "This is it. Zarek's got no more room to run." The crew fanned out, weapons drawn. Angelo Doherty tightened his grip on his plasma rifle, his scarred face set in grim anticipation. Eli Carter took point, his sniper rifle ready for any sudden movement, while David Kessler monitored the environment, watching for any last-minute traps. Andrew felt the weight of the moment settle on his shoulders. They had fought through hell to get here, and now it was time to finish the job. As they rounded the corner, the corridor opened into a massive underground chamber. The floor was split by a river of lava that bubbled and churned, sending plumes of heat into the air. Across the chamber, a figure stood alone on a narrow ledge above the molten flow. Zarek the Unseen, his reptilian eyes gleaming in the dim light, his body draped in a cloak of shimmering black. He seemed to blend into the shadows, as if the darkness itself obeyed his command. "You've come far, humans," Zarek called out, his voice a low, mocking hiss. "Further than most." Andrew stepped forward, his gaze locked on Zarek. "It's over, Zarek. You've run out of places to hide." Zarek smiled, a slow, calculated expression. "I haven't been hiding, Captain Hudson. I've been waiting." He raised his arms, and the chamber suddenly came to life. From the shadows, mercenaries and automated defense turrets emerged, weapons primed and ready. It was a kill zone, perfectly orchestrated for Zarek's advantage. "Ambush!" Kessler shouted, diving for cover as the first wave of laser fire erupted. Andrew didn't flinch. "Angelo, take the turrets. Eli, cover our approach." His voice cut through the chaos like a commander born for battle. He didn't panic, and neither did his crew. They moved with the precision of a well-oiled machine, each man knowing his role. Angelo charged forward, plasma rifle blazing as he targeted the automated turrets lining the walls. His shots were brutal, shredding metal and circuits with unrelenting force. Eli's rifle cracked in quick succession, each shot dropping a mercenary with deadly accuracy. Kessler worked furiously at his console, jamming enemy comms and hacking into Zarek's defenses. But Zarek was no ordinary foe. He moved with fluid grace, darting between shadows and firing bursts of energy from a wrist-mounted blaster. He was fast, faster than any human Andrew had ever faced. Andrew dodged a bolt of energy and fired back. But Zarek was already gone, his silhouette melting into the blackness. "You're predictable, Hudson," Zarek taunted, his voice echoing from the walls. "Your species may be strong, but you lack the vision to survive what's coming." Andrew narrowed his eyes. "The only thing you've got coming is the inside of a prison cell." The battle raged on, but Andrew could feel it narrowing to a singular moment, a confrontation between him and Zarek. The mercenaries were thinning, Angelo's firepower cutting them down, and Eli's deadly precision kept them from regrouping. Kessler had managed to disable most of the traps, giving them the upper hand. It was just Andrew and Zarek now. With a final burst of speed, Andrew broke from cover, charging toward the ledge where Zarek stood. Zarek raised his blaster, but Andrew was quicker. He tackled the assassin, and the two crashed to the ground, dangerously close to the edge of the lava river below. Zarek's strength was surprising. His reptilian muscles coiled like iron. They grappled, exchanging blows with brutal efficiency. Zarek swung a blade toward Andrew's neck, but Andrew blocked it, driving his fist into the alien's gut. Zarek hissed in pain, but retaliated with a kick that sent Andrew stumbling back toward the molten edge. For a moment, Andrew teetered on the brink, the heat of the lava singeing his armor. But he pushed forward, grabbing Zarek by the arm and twisting him to the ground. The two struggled, but Andrew's human endurance proved stronger. With a final brutal strike, he disarmed Zarek, sending his blaster skidding into the lava. Zarek lay there, breathing hard, his once smug grin replaced with anger and defeat. You can't win. The galaxy is full of creatures stronger than you, smarter than you." Andrew stood over him, breathing heavily. "Maybe, but we're the ones standing here, and you're the one on the ground." Andrew hoisted Zarek to his feet, his grip firm. "You're coming with us." The battle was over. Andrew glanced back at his crew, battered but victorious. They had come through the fire together, and they had won. As they hauled Zarek back to the ship, Andrew couldn't help but feel a familiar stirring in his gut. The hunt wasn't over. There would always be more like Zarek. But as long as there were criminals to chase, Andrew and his crew would be there, ready for whatever came next. The galaxy's most dangerous job was far from done.